The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. OG Anunoby played his college ball at Indiana University, and there he is, back at Indiana. 25 points against the Pacers. How about Mitchell Robinson? 12 points, a career-high 22 rebounds. And Mikal Bridges, key three with the Knicks up 4 and 2 minutes to go. That was a dagger three. Bridges only 12 points in his last 3 games combined, went for 11 tonight, and the Knicks win at 101-92. So the standings up to the second in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons won tonight. Celtics idle. Knicks tying Boston at 43 wins, but they're a game behind the Celtics in the overall standings. Cavs won tonight. They remain 4th overall. Great to have you with us here from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pidto along with Alan Hahn. Doesn't matter who's playing when these two teams go after one another. You had no Karl-Anthony Towns, no Josh Hart. Each of those Knicks out with a bad knee. Pascal Siakam not playing for the Pacers. Didn't matter. As always, went right down to the wire. And tonight in this one, the Knicks were able to prevail.
Yeah, it's always personal with Rick Carlisle and the Knicks. You could tell the way he plays his players against this team and how much he plays them against this team. And the Knicks several times had leads in this game that you thought they could just pull away, especially in the third quarter. They went up 15, and it felt like, okay, they can get on a roll and put an end to this game. But the Pacers kept fighting back. The Knicks weren't playing very good defense in the pocket of the game, allowed them to come back. It took one more stretch, and it took an outstanding, dominant game by Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks to win this and to have now a winning road trip. 3 wins out of the 5 games, and that's considered a success.
All right, Alan, let us bring in Monica McNutt. She helped call the game tonight on TV. Tyler Murray. Monica, thanks for joining us. What do you think?
I'm with Hahn. That's always more contested than you think it would be based on all the stats you prepare for. I mean, this is a bottom-rated defense, bottom-rated offense, all the things. They won 15 games. Are you kidding me? But all in all, I thought the Knicks showed tremendous poise down the stretch, and I like what Mitchell Robinson said about this next run of games where you don't necessarily see a lot of opponents that you highlight or circle. This team has to continue to keep working on getting together, and obviously for him, I think this was very personal for him, making sure he's in the best conditioning possible as he played a season high in minutes.
Yeah, how about that? You guys were talking with Mitchell Robinson on it, and I had to do the math because of his numbers. He got 41% of the team's rebounds in this game. 41%. 80% of the offensive rebounds and 41% of the rebounds. I mean, Jalen Brunson had a great first half, but you could argue, like, this is the player of the game. Like, he is the reason why they won this game.
I mean, he was a unstoppable force in many ways, right? Like through both halves, to your point. The 3 that we highlighted down the stretch by Mikal Bridges is truly a Mitchell Robinson offensive rebound assist, if you will, if we can make up a statistical category. But no, I agree. I was curious to see what it would look like for him to battle against Zubac, and there were some fun moments with that tonight. But just in general, his effort on the glass and his screen setting, his handoffs, his patience when he had to make the plays, make passes. And I will say, I love this effort by the team to get him the ball where only he can get it. These alley-oop plays, yes, they're highlights and they're oohs and ahs, but they're also really sound when you look at how he plays his best basketball and how he can be and put in positions to be most successful.
You were right there. You're right there courtside, and we were just saying beforehand how it doesn't matter who the Pacers have. It always feels like Rick Carlisle and that group, they see the Knicks, they want to win. They don't care. And you're there. Like, what are you noticing with this? Because as much as Rick Carlisle talks about, oh, I have to manage my rotations and I have to worry about my players and all this stuff, we know what he's up to because they came here and they played everyone a whole game and took the Knicks to overtime and won. And the very next night, sat everyone. And then last night, Nembhard and Zubac play only in the first half, not in the second half. Tonight, the whole game. There's definitely something extra about when Rick Carlisle and the Pacers take on the Knicks. Did you feel it?
I mean, Hahn, you teed it up. You know what? I should have known something was up when, during his soliloquy about the strategy that his team is employing right now to protect players, because it's about player safety. The minutes are about player safety.
Yeah, sure.
When he said about Zubac, he is looking for quality minutes to help this team continue to develop looking ahead, right? And so to your point, with all of the history between these two teams, this is a great opportunity against another quality big in the league to allow this team to get some development time together. So I should have known something was up just based on the history. And Tyler and I said it on the broadcast a couple times. In that third quarter, if you watch their last matchup versus Phoenix, in that third quarter, it started to get a little wonky. They made one more run, and then the fourth quarter, the Suns really took over. There was a stretch with about 6 minutes to go in the third where you're like, okay, historically, we're about to get some substitutions, but that is not what happened versus the New York Knicks, and it did proceed to be a game that required clutch time. But I give a ton of props to the Knicks because I thought they were really poised in a situation where we know it hasn't always turned out in the Knicks' favor.
All right, Monica, thanks so much. Have a great trip home. Welcome home, Monica. We'll see you next week.
Great job on the trip, Mon.
Yes.
Great job.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
All right. So Jalen Brunson, Alan, 9 more assists, keeps racking up the assists. And tonight, 29 points. 23 of them came in half number 1. Only 6 points in the second half, but it was good enough. Breathe like a winner, presented by Blue Air. Jalen Brunson's our focus for this.
It was important for the Knicks to get off to a good start. We've been talking about the rough starts they had on this trip. So Jalen Brunson made sure the Knicks got off to a good start. 11 points in that first quarter. Had a strong half, as you mentioned, 23 points in the first half. And it was a lot of what we have seen over the years when he's matched up against Neesmith and Nembhard and Shepard. They keep throwing different guys at him that have been guarding him for years. And he just knows what to do. His footwork was so on point. His touch was really good early on. Kind of had to recalibrate later in the game. That was a tough and one against his good friend T.J. McConnell. He also had words, I thought, which was great, with Rick Carlisle during the game as well. There is no love lost between these two teams, no matter where they are in the standings. And for Jalen Brunson, I think he likes being the villain in that building just as much as Halliburton likes being the villain in the Garden.
How about his assist numbers, as I mentioned?
Yeah,
coming into this game,
they'd be higher if guys made shots too.
9 more
made shots tonight.
He's averaging double-digit assists over his last handful of games.
Yeah,
even when he's not scoring, and he has scored now the last 3, 28, 28, and 29.
Yep.
He's still getting assist numbers.
Yeah, and that's got to be a thing, especially when you know when we get to the playoffs. We all know they're gonna bottle him up. They're going to do some things like the Lakers did. They're going to send wings from the sides to take away his peripheral vision, the ability to do the spray-out threes to the corners. He's got to start being able to almost feel, not even see, feel where his teammates are going to be to make easy passes. When a big helps, he's starting to find those little pocket passes and the ability to get guys like Anunoby or get guys like we saw tonight, Mitchell Robinson. And what you really want to see at some point, he and Karl-Anthony Towns develop a little two-man game to work together as well.
Towns out tonight, sore knee. Mitchell Robinson, as we've discussed, gets the start. Season high, 31 minutes played.
Phenomenal.
Career high, 22 rebounds, and also 12 points. Yeah, Brunson went for the 29, but as you mentioned a couple of moments ago, this might be Mitchell Robinson's game.
Yeah, this is player of the game kind of stuff, too. And I think Jalen Brunson would admit to it as well because of just how important he was, especially down the stretch. As I said, I'm going to repeat this because, Bill, I don't know if you heard me. Mitchell Robinson had 41% of the rebounds tonight for his team. Offensive rebounds.
22 offensive?
80% of the offensive rebounds and 41% of the overall rebounds in this game for his team. He was everything. He was everywhere. And you needed this stuff from him around the basket. The tip-ins, those are easy. The lobs
especially because Josh Hart didn't play, right?
He's a big rebound guy, certainly as well. And Karl-Anthony Towns, who's number 2 in the league in rebounding, was not in this game. So they needed all of it, and he provided it, and that's a good sign. But the better sign is the 31 minutes that he played in this game, because they have been very careful with his minutes, as they should be, in managing him throughout this season. He has not played more than 27 or 28 minutes so far this season. He noted it himself, by the way, in the interview with Tyler and Monica when he said season high. He knew it, that he played a lot. They want to get him conditioned to be able to play this much in the postseason where there aren't any back-to-backs. There's no situations you have to worry about managing him. This is where you let him loose. This is ramp-up time. So this was a really good sign in this game that his conditioning was where it needed to be, where he can finish a game as strong as he did on the boards, playing a season high in minutes.
And obviously the big factor is playing time increase.
Yep.
Cat didn't play tonight because of the sore knee. All right, when we come back, we're going to listen in to Knicks coach Mike Brown. His Knicks finished the 5-game road trip at 3-2, and now on the season they're 43-25, tied with Boston for the second most wins in the conference.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
Knicks finished the game tonight on a 14-6 run and beat the pesky Pacers 101-92. Mike Brown's post-game comments, as always, presented by Chase.
Good to get a win to end this road trip. You know, our guys played well. You know, anytime you can hold a team to the numbers we held Indiana to. You did a pretty good job defensively with your assignments. Our DPOG was Mitch. He had a monster of a game. The 12 points, 22 rebounds. It was really, really big game for him. But on the road, you have to take care of the basketball. In the first half, we did a nice job. I think we have 4 turnovers for 4 points, maybe in the first half, or 2 points. Second half, we got a little sloppy with it, but they weren't turnovers that hurt us, that fueled Indiana's break. And we also, when we turned it over, played with great next play speed. We got back and didn't give them many looks. And, we had the 8 turnovers in that half, but they only scored 2 points off of it, which was huge. And then the other thing that was huge was, we talked about trying to be physical and defend without fouling and lead with your chest, show your hands. And, they had 15 free throw attempts, 5 in the second half. And again, on the road, you got to take care of the ball. You can't send them to the free throw line. And I thought our guys were really good in that area, and that's why we won the ball game. We didn't shoot it well, obviously. We didn't shoot a ton of threes, but when you do those things and you play with a sense of urgency while making your opponents feel you without fouling, you got a good chance on the road, especially.
OG was aggressive in that fourth quarter. It seemed like Brunson kind of got quiet after that. I mean, how big was OG's aggressiveness and that offensive impact in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, OG was huge for us. I mean, his ability to attack the rim tonight was big time, especially with the force that he did to get the 9 free throws. He was a man on a mission, and he knocked his free throws down, but he also tried to make timely passes. He had 5 assists. This is one of our lower assist games because we didn't shoot the ball well. But having said that, OG with 5, Jalen with 9, and that was 14 of our 20 assists. So OG, again, attacked the rim. He got to the free throw line, but just as importantly, he set his teammates up too.
You mentioned Mitch was the defensive player of the game. Besides his impact, I think that was a season high minutes that he played, 31. How good is it, with the plan that you guys have had, that he can have, at this point in the season, late in the season, he's going up, this way in terms of his workload, that he can have that kind of big workload like he did tonight?
Yeah, it's huge, and I said this before. Our doctors, our medical performance group, led by KC and Chico and Quentin, they put a nice plan together with Mitch and his group, and it's obviously shown that it's paid off because of his ability, knock on wood, to stay on the floor and play in games, and like you said, play the minutes he played tonight. And so I applaud those guys.
What do you like about some of the bench guys? Obviously no Josh, no Cat, Dottie got some minutes, Clarkson again. What do you like about some of those bench guys that saw some action?
Yeah, they came down and held down the fort when we needed them to, and we played with combinations obviously that we hadn't played with throughout the year, especially throwing a Pac out there. And he only played 6.5 minutes, but they were real minutes. And for a young guy that hadn't played, he did a nice job for us.
Just one last thing. I was looking ahead to the Warriors on Sunday. Last time, obviously, Draymond had that flagrant foul with Cat. When you know a guy is going to try to get under your player's skin, what approach do you want your players to kind of have to either combat that, deal with it? When you know a guy is going to try to antagonize you and get under your skin, how do you want your players to approach that to combat it?
No, you just got to concentrate on what your job is. As simple as that. No matter who you play, you got to lock in on all of the small details. And like I said, in the second half, there was a stretch there where we kind of wandered out to left field, and it cost us. They made them run, but we can't allow anything to distract us from a player to fans to officials or anything like that. If we expect to be who we are, we'll be able to play through any noise that we come across throughout the course of the game.
One more second. Just the Bam game the other day, and then the other guys game against the Thunder just kind of made you think. It feels like Jalen has maybe a reputation around the league for foul baiting that's not really rooted in reality. You know, I think I saw his 61-point game last year was the most without 10 free throws. I think he averages the most points like under a certain amount of free throws. You know, why do you think he has that reputation when it doesn't really match reality, I guess?
I don't know. There's a lot of people you have to ask, but obviously the numbers speak factually. They speak for themselves, and so we're not concerned about that. He's just got to keep being aggressive and being in that MVP race like we know he is.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
You know, it's interesting. You watch Mike Brown work for the first year he's been the head coach of the Knicks. A philosophy of, at times, just throwing a young guy out there. We've seen Kevin McCullough get some run. We've seen Trey Jemison get some run. Mo Diawara gets consistent run. And tonight, out of nowhere, Hakim Daddier, coach, played only 6 minutes, but as the coach said, you're trying to develop these guys. It was an important 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think you get a hunch about, let me throw him out there. Maybe he's looked good in practice. Maybe, we saw him in garbage time in Denver. He got red hot and just started knocking down shots. So maybe it was this sense of, here's an opportunity with some injured players, not as deep a roster. Give this guy a chance and see what he can do. He knocked down a logo 3 early on. Now, his defense still, it definitely needs to improve. He's got to learn how to play with a higher level of intensity, especially on defense. But Mike Brown is always willing to give a player an opportunity and see what he can do with it. It's really the McCullough story. That's one where I just threw him out there, put him on Trae Young and said, let's see how he does. And he ended up playing a great game. And Diawara was discovered basically the same thing. I just want to see what he would do out there. And he showed you that he doesn't, get nervous. He doesn't get rattled when you give him minutes. But the bench got outscored 35-15 in this game. Again, they are shorthanded. They were missing 2 key players, but you needed someone to step up. Clarkson, 8 points, quiet 8 points in 19. Alvarado didn't shoot the ball. That's kind of interesting, too, that he wasn't really that aggressive in this game. So bench didn't give you enough, but it was still enough to win the game.
And Diawara only 3 of 9 from the floor.
Yep.
Tonight's thrilling moment brought to you by FanDuel Casino. Get your thrill on. OG Anunoby. Woo. Great game for him. He had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And the Knicks beat the Pacers 101-92. Of course, he played at Indiana University.
Comfortable.
One-time Hoosier back in Indianapolis. Bill Pidto and Alan Hahn back from our corner 3, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. Anunoby, Alan also took 9 free throw attempts. His season high for most in the game is 10. Had 9 tonight.
Yeah, again, it's him being aggressive, him going to the basket, and really not just depending on the three-point shot, although he did knock down 2 of 4 from downtown. But this is now 9 games where he's now averaging over 20 points a game, shooting over 50%. And these are high percentage finishes, of course. That's one. We saw several of them, including this one around. Oh, my goodness. That was Potter, right? Trying to make that block.
He's
His
so strong.
athleticism looks like he's back. The toe was no longer an issue. The comfort in shooting the threes, again, mentioning the 2 of 4 from downtown. Playmaking as well. Don't forget the 5 assists to go along with the 8 rebounds. Did he talk to the Pacer bench there when he made that shot? You like it when he's engaged like that. And I just think without Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson needed someone else to step up and carry the offense. It was OG Anunoby tonight.
Over his last 9 games, you mentioned, he's averaging close to 20 a game.
He is. It's over 20 now.
And it looks like, and Tyler and Monica talked about it, Mike Breen's talked about it, he's much more forceful going to the basket. Not always the most graceful going to the basket, but his strength allows him
his power. He loves to finish at the rim. In fact, we've seen him get a ton of dunks this season just going to the rim hard. I do think, as we remember, the toe issue that he dealt with going into the All-Star break, at the start, coming back from the break, he had to deal with it and try to get more comfortable and just play through it. You could tell it's no longer bothering him, not affecting him, and then that's obviously why his numbers are back again to what he's had for most of this season.
All right, so we talked about the Knicks coming off the gauntlet to what's an easier stretch of games.
Yep.
They beat Utah. Interesting. Tonight, interesting.
Not pretty.
Hey, what's the difference? A win's a win. Wally always says that, right?
That is true. It's not how, it's how many, but at some point late in the season, you want to make sure you're tightening up your defense.
All right. We'll be back with more. OG Anunoby, the excellent game. Former Knick Obi Toppin tonight for the Pacers had 9 points. Back with more after this.
The Knicks postgame show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
And the Knicks win over the Pacers tonight. Jordan Clarkson had 8 points off the bench. Here he is in the locker room with Pat O'Keefe.
the guys closing the game out, making big shots. Mikal made a timely three, and then just big stops at the end. I think, we just finished the job.
That was a big three by Mikal. It comes off one of many offensive rebounds by Mitch. 22 rebounds in this game. What can you say about his performance?
It's just big time. He's been doing that at a high level all year, especially defensively. Just doing things on that side, causing havoc. So it's a big game for him, and, we proud of him.
3-2 road trip overall, couple of bumps in Los Angeles, but you finished with 2 straight wins. How are you guys feeling heading back to New York?
We're just ready to get home. Like you said, a long road trip. This last game of the road trip usually tough, so we came out with a win and executed, pulled it in, and we got a week and a half of games at home, so we'll be ready.
Schedule favorable for Jalen Brunson and company here in the near term. Brunson 29-9 tonight. And the Knicks win at the Pacers. Next game for the Knicks, they're home against the Warriors Sunday. That's on national TV. So our next Knicks game here on MSG against the Pacers again, but this time in New York. Tuesday night with the pregame at 7, game at 7:30. You stream our coverage as well on the Gotham Sports App. Want more than just a post-game show? Link your eligible TV subscription to stream Knicks games free or subscribe today in the Gotham Sports App. Just go to gothamsports.tv to learn more.